Coming up on Dispatch, your layout photos, the question of the week, and a big shout out. Starting right now. You're watching Dispatch, the variety show for model railroaders. I'm Roy Smith. Thanks for joining me. As I said, we have your layout photos, the question of the week, and a big shout out coming up on the show. Let's get started with your layout photos. You all have posted a ton of layout photos in our Facebook group since the last edition of Dispatch, and I have brought them over here to share with everyone during the show. Here they are. After the show, I hope you will go over to the Facebook group and post a photo of your layout there. Why? Because it's fun to share the hobby. Besides, we want to see what you're doing on your layout. I will put a link to the group where you can post your photos down below. You will know you're at the right place when you see this photo at Echo Canyon on my layout. If you posted a photo but didn't see it here, then be sure to watch for it on the next edition of Dispatch. Remember, it doesn't matter what scale you model in, and yes, you can post photos of your club's layout. And now, it's time for our question of the week. Here's this week's question. Must you actually have a layout to be a model railroader? Here's how you responded to this question. A couple of you said, yes, you must have a layout to qualify as a model railroader because, you said, by definition, a model railroader is someone who models railroads. You said you should have at least some semblance of a layout to be a model railroader and not just an enthusiast or collector. But those of you who said yes did qualify your response to say that you can be a model railroader if you are involved in a club or working on a friend's layout. As you can see, one of you indicated that he wasn't sure if you had to have a layout to be a model railroader. But the vast majority of you said no, you don't actually have to have a layout to enjoy the hobby. Here are some of the ways you said you can enjoy the hobby even if you don't have a layout. You can plan for a layout that you will build someday. You can help a friend build and operate his layout. You can join a model railroad club where you can help build the club's layout and operate your trains on it. You can build dioramas. You can become a collector and perhaps keep your trains in display cases. You can build structures to put on your future layout. You can detail and weather the rolling stock that you will run on your future layout. You can watch videos and read magazines and books. You can go to train shows and train stores. And you can participate in online live chats. While you are doing these kinds of things, you are enjoying the hobby, you are making friends in the hobby, and you are developing modeling skills at the same time. Doing these kinds of things may be all that it takes to qualify as a model railroader, you said. Any number of things may be keeping you from building a layout. Perhaps your career, a marriage, or children, or perhaps a lack of space, money, or time. I didn't have a layout for almost 30 years from the mid-1980s until 2014 when I began to build my current layout. But throughout that time, I still considered myself to be a model railroader because of my continuing passion for the hobby. So are you a model railroader even if you don't have a layout? I think only you can make that decision, and I think it depends on how you feel about the hobby. Well, I'd like to thank all of you who responded to this week's question. Now, we do have a question for the coming week, and here it is. What are you looking forward to doing on your layout? Post your responses to this question in the comments section down below. I will compile your responses and share them right here on the next episode of Dispatch. Remember, when you respond to a question of the week, you are sharing the hobby with others. And sharing the hobby may just be the best part of model railroading. Here again is the question for the coming week. What are you looking forward to doing on your layout? Now it's time for our big shout out. And our big shout out goes to Bart, his HO scale layout, and his YouTube channel, Dubai Trains. I contacted Bart, and here's what he told me. He said that his layout fills a space measuring 8 feet by 11.5 feet. It is set in a geographic area resembling Pennsylvania during the transition era. He started working on his layout in 2019, taking only 3 months to finish the bench work and track work. The track work is point to point. Scenery work has progressed slowly since finishing the track work. Bart also said that he and his layout are located in Dubai, one of 7 emirates in the United Arab Emirates in the Persian Gulf. Hence, his channel name, Dubai Trains. He hopes to generate interest in model railroading there in Dubai and to create a community of folks interested in the hobby. Bart especially enjoys switching operations on his layout. Okay, let's go take a look at Bart's layout in one of his recent videos.
Welcome everyone to Dubai Trains, the channel that is all about model railroading. As this is one of my very first videos that I'm doing, I thought it would be most appropriate to start with a tour of my layout. It is a HO scale layout, freelance design, and the operations are purely point to point. Before we do a tour of the layout, let's first have a look at the schematics. So this is my layout's track plan. We start up here on the top. This is Asheville, and the train goes around this bend and comes into Bucks, then loops around it, goes through the tunnel all the way underneath the layout, and then pops up here again for a long stretch, and then enters Connellsville. And then once we pass Connellsville, it goes all the way behind the backdrop, up a 2.5% grade, and arrives in Dalton. So now let's have a look at the layout itself. So first off is Asheville. As you see here, it goes all the way to the right, where we have the terminal. Of course, the terminal is far too large for a small point-to-point like this. Panning back to the left, then we have the engine facilities. As I model the transition era, the coal and water tower are there for the steam trains, and then of course we got the diesel fueling platform there. So as we have a look at the tracks, the first 2 tracks are actually a runaround, the only runaround in Asheville, and then behind it are 2 tracks for classification. And then if we pan to the east, this is where we have all the industries on this part of the layout.
I hope you will go over to Bart's channel to watch the rest of that video and other videos about his layout. And if you still haven't subscribed to his channel, do that too while you're over there. I will put a link to his channel down below. Bart, keep up the good work, my friend. I love your channel and your layout. Thanks for sharing the hobby with the rest of us. Now I want to invite you to watch 2 recent videos on my channel if you haven't seen them yet. They are, first, Dispatch 79. Is a layout ever finished? In this episode of Dispatch, we take a look at your responses to the question, do you think it's possible to ever finish building a layout? And the second one is Dispatch 80. Just in Case answers your model railroad questions. Justin, the world's foremost authority in model railroading, responds to your questions in a way that is positively outrageous. You will find links to both of these videos down below. I want to remind you that I am in the process of expanding my fleet of freight cars. I am expanding my freight car fleet so that in the weeks and months ahead, I can set up and operate formal operations on my layout. Of course, I will take you along with me as I do that. If you'd like to participate in the expansion of my freight car fleet, you can via PayPal. I will put my PayPal link down below. If you liked this video, be sure to hit the thumbs up button down below. And I also want to remind you that there are hundreds of other videos for you to watch right here on this channel. I will include a link to my videos page. You can go to that link and browse around. Or you can watch these videos over here just by clicking on them. Well, thanks for letting me share the world's greatest hobby with you here on Dispatch. As always, I'm Roy Smith. Until next time, Happy railroading.